1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.
Good morning and welcome to Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching the opening bell and I'm Santosh Nair. Bulls made a strong comeback on Tuesday, but at this point the market is still divided on whether this latest round of uptrend can sustain. Looking at the trade setup this morning, the SGX Nifty futures are indicating a positive start for the Indian market. Overnight, US markets ended on a mixed note, and at this point in time, Asian markets are mostly higher. In a development that could have a key bearing on global liquidity, the Bank of Japan has maintained its yield curve control of 0.5% on either sides of zero, which basically means that it will allow the yield on 10-year government bonds to fluctuate within a band of 0.5% on either side. The Bank of Japan has maintained its short-term interest rates at minus 0.1%. and has said that it will add to easing without hesitation if needed. Now, just some time back, there were concerns whether Bank of Japan also would be increasing its interest rates, and that does affect the performance of asset classes, especially risk assets across the globe, because a lot of investors do what is known as the carry trade, where they borrow in yen and invest it in risky assets in other markets. So, if the interest rates on yen increases, which means that the cost of carrying forward that trade also rises, and usually whenever Bank of Japan or whenever interest rates in Japan increases, we see some kind of sell-off in asset classes globally. Well, and Bank of Japan has said that it will continue with large-scale bond purchases. Back home, institutional activity fell sharply on Tuesday. Net FII and domestic institutional purchases were just about under 300 crore rupees. Technical indicators are showing a neutral trend for the Nifty at this point, but that's still an improvement over what it was still a couple of days back. As far as the moving averages are concerned, the trend is bullish, but if you look at the technical indicators and the crossover of moving averages, both are showing a neutral trend. In the futures market, L&T, HUL, Marico, Cummins and Tata Communications, the futures of these securities have seen a build-up of long positions, while on the other hand, Siemens, Deltacorp, Indus Towers have seen build-up of short positions. Now, let's move over to the newsmakers of the day. ITC has signed a binding term to acquire 100% of Sprout Life Foods. ITC will be investing 175 crore rupees for a 39.4% stake by February 15th, and it will be infusing another 80 crore by March of 2025 based on the pre-agreed pre-money valuation. Let's take a quick check on the market before we move over. The Nifty 50 is opened on a flat note. The sensex is also flat in early trade, up by about 15 points. Market breadth positive in early trade, 1400 stocks up and 444 stocks are down. You are seeing some pressure in Bank Nifty, which is down by close to about 62 points, while the Nifty mid cap is also flattish, up just about 14 points. Bharti Airtel and Dr. Reddy are among the gainers in early trade, up close to about 0.5% each. Apollo Hospital is also up by about 0.2%. Well, and with that, let's move on to the newsmakers section. Tata Investment Corporation announced its third quarter numbers yesterday. Net profit down by 13.2% at 34.5 crore compared to the same period last year. The revenue was down by 25.8% to about 37.7 crore over the same period last year. Now, the stock has been in an uptrend over the last month, rising close to about 15%. Deltacorp too announced its third quarter numbers yesterday. The net profit is up by 20.5% at 84.8 crore over the same period last year, whereas revenue has risen by 10.6% year on year. However, operating profits are down by about 4.5% year on year to about 102 crore, and margin has also shrunk a bit. It's down to 37.4% for the quarter 3 compared to 43.4% same period last year. Deltacorp has been witnessing build-up of short positions over the last couple of trading sessions. Rail Vikas Nigam has emerged as the lowest bidder for the Surat Metro Rail project phase 1. The project is worth about 674 crore rupees. The company has also emerged as the lowest bidder for the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project phase 2, which is worth about 384 crore rupees. Eric Life Sciences reported its third quarter numbers yesterday. Net profit was flattish, just about 1.1% up at 101.8 crore rupees, where revenue rose about 27.4%. Margins under pressure, down by about 400 basis points year on year to about 32.4%. The company has said that it will be buying a part of Glenmark's dermatology portfolio for 340 crore. Let's look at the hot brokerage bet this morning. ICICI Security has rated Astral a buy with a price target of 2,295 rupees. According to ICICI Securities, the stock is expected to gain near term as volumes in the pipe segment are set to increase from the third quarter. Also, margins are expected to normalize in the current quarter. That's because prices of polyvinyl chloride have stabilized, and also there is a correction in adhesive input prices like vinyl acetate monomer, and these will help normalize margins. ICICI Securities expects Astral's margin to reach about 15 to 16% in the current quarter. Moving over to the stocks in focus this morning, Tata Steel, CLSA has upgraded its rating on the stock from sell to outperform. It has also raised the price target to 130 rupees from 95 rupees. Now, this is the second major upgrade for Tata Steel this month so far. Earlier in this month, Jefferies had upgraded the stock to a buy and also raised its target price significantly. According to CLSA, the reopening of China's economy has given a fresh lease of life for the metal sector in general, and CLSA said that a recession in the US now looks imminent. However, it could be shallower than what the market was earlier expecting. Now, the key thing to keep an eye out for is domestic demand, and according to CLSA, domestic demand so far has been resilient, but at the same time it's also warned that there is a lot of capacity addition that is happening right now, and which in turn means that steel companies will be dependent on exports to shore up their bottom lines. Atul Limited is the second stock on our watch list. Now, according to Moneycontrol Pro, the company could be in for some tough times in the near term. Moneycontrol Pro analyst Anubhav Sahu has said that volumes of most of the chemical companies are anticipated to decline during the December quarter, and exceptions will be fluorochemicals and agrochemicals companies. Now, Atul Industries earns about 45% of its sales from overseas markets, and it's also exposed to some of the discretionary segments such as epoxy resins, pigments, dyes and adhesives, and hence this company is likely to be impacted more than some of its peers. In the coming months also, realizations are expected to drop as new contracts are signed. That's because many of the markets abroad are going through a weak phase in their economy, and as a result demand is expected to be weaker, and this will also result in lower product prices, and the premium that Atul was commanding earlier, that's partly due to the problems in the supply chain, that also will not be possible. It's not just true for Atul but also most chemical companies. That's because the supply chain has improved significantly over the past few months, so that premium which was being charged because of the disruptions in supply chain, that also won't be there. And the additional problem is that the old inventory which was procured at a high price, that will now have to be pushed out over the next 2-3 quarters, and this could further put pressure on margins in the short term. Well, and that's all that we have in this episode of Opening Bell. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with you again at 3:30 p.m. In the meantime, for all news, views and analysis, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.
First February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions, and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Money Control. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.